Welcome guys to another creepy TikTok compilation. I've got some interesting updates in relation to the experiment, which I'll share with you towards the end of the video. But for now, let's go ahead and dive in.
Hey TikTok, just a quick update. It's Saturday, I believe, and here's the truck I've been driving for the last few days for Wilson Logistics. This trailer just was assigned to us from Kraft over at the Kraft Foods plant, and we're delivering it here to what's called the Springfield Underground. And that is, as you can see behind me, this giant cave that's big enough to house hundreds of these trucks and trailers. There's a train track running through here. Just to give you an idea, back here there's a regular sized truck. See how tall that is up there? It's just incredible. Anyway, having a great time, learning lots. Talk to you soon.
You know, it's funny because the media and society have this perceived generalization that people who are preppers are crazy. Yet, you know, you can have the elites, like the powers of the world, bring in like casually 14.2 tons of like quality food on the ground that lasts 150 years and no one backs an eyelid. I mean, make that make sense.
I'll just take a second to appreciate just how crazy 2024 has actually already been. It's been 12 days so far. We've already had an earthquake, an explosion in South Korea, aliens invading the Miami Mall, the Epstein list released, the USA attacked Yemen, major explosion in Texas. We got major winter storms for the most parts of America. New countries joining BRICS, an airplane crash in Japan, airplane door ripped out mid-flight, state capitol buildings evacuated over a threat. We had a movie that came out normalizing cannibalism, new COVID variant on the rise, our oceans are now full of plastic apparently, the government shutdown is now on the cards again, major crisis in Ecuador, deadly tornadoes across the East Coast in Florida, Argentina inflation over 200%, Bitcoin ETF approved so cryptos are rallying. We find out 5 months later Maui still isn't being rebuilt and people are still waiting for insurance payouts. What more? Secret tunnels found in New York, millions of fish washing ashore in the Philippines, major earthquakes, German farmer protests that are being ignored by the media, and major flooding in England. Did I miss anything, guys? Welcome to 2024. It's not even been 2 weeks.
2024 has proven to be one of the wildest years yet, guys. And listen, the birth is approaching and the labor pains are getting worse and worse.
What about the water?
Oh, can you grab that one?
Okay.
What?
It's as big as your flat down here.
Oh my god. What? So that, right.
Even more alarming is there's a door there.
So that must go out. It's as big as my flat.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
There's a door there
Right.
that goes out onto the street.
Shut up, man.
I think. By the way, the shop's shut today.
Oh, is it?
Or it's shut when I came past.
I think it opens at like 11. Finally found the secret room.
And it opens this way. I mean, yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but if I found a room that size under my floors, I would be absolutely over the moon high. No question about it. I mean, the possibilities, like what would you do with it?
Go and drink a McDonald's coffee this morning.
Do you know what's going to happen, guys? You're going to go to McDonald's or KFC someday, and then you're going to get flashbacks of those clips, and you're going to scatter out of there quicker than that mouse that was on that McDonald's cup. What a bunch of clowns. Out of all the years I've been on this earth, not once have I used a cup of milk to pour into a bowl of cereal.
Cut the crap! If you're immortal, why would you take away individual freedoms and censor the net?
We succeeded in digitizing life itself.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives. Through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Right. You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context?
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
But beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, And this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
Though Metal Gear Solid was only a game, you can clearly see the relevancy it has in today's world. Over here in Ireland, there's a certain thing that we do that is frowned upon by many people, and it usually involves a bottle and a bit of fabric. Now, if I came across a place like that, the first thing that comes to my mind would be to do that and just wing it in there and then just set it alight. To me, this looks like a hologram or like Project Bluebeam, but what's your thoughts on this, guys?
Anyway, so this is what's going on in Google. I have friends in tech, like very high up in tech, that are monitoring the situation. He said, whoa, all right. He says, I got this email, Ides of March are on, they are prepping now. Dear advertiser, in February 2024, Google will update the inappropriate content policy to clarify the definition of sensitive events. A sensitive event is an unforeseen event or development that creates significant risk to Google's ability to provide high quality, relevant information and ground truth, and reduce insensitive or exploitative content and prominent and monetized features. During a sensitive event, we may take a variety of actions to address these risks. Examples of sensitive events include significant social, cultural, or political impacts, such as civil emergencies, natural disasters, public health emergencies, terrorism, and related activities, conflict, or mass acts of violence. Examples of what's prohibited: products or services that exploit, dismiss, or condone the sensitive event, including price gouging or artificially inflating prices that prohibits, restricts access to vital supplies, sales of products, blah, blah. Okay. So my buddy's like, it's on. They're prepping. They're ready to do it. And I said, what does that mean? He said, Google is changing their terms of service to get ready for a major event, controlling the way advertisers and publishers are allowed to talk about it in very specific ways. Hints as to what the event is are in the text. They mention inflation, price gouging, mass violence, victim blaming, and a bunch of stuff. Just read the text of it. So they will be able to turn off and shut down anyone using Google Ads, publishers, content creators, advertisers that don't toe the line in the next unforeseen event. They call it a sensitive event. This would include all advertising on Google Search, AdSense, YouTube. They say that they are about to make these changes to the TOS, but when you go to the website to see the new TOS, they aren't updated yet. They're getting prepped. I'm sure they have lawyers working on this, internal training going on, putting special moderators in place. Okay, so what I predict, which I'm never totally right on, but I usually rhyme, like I'm usually within the ballpark, is some form of banking collapse that will be controlled. Like, don't be afraid of any of this shit, guys, at all. So no access to money in a bank for maybe a week. They don't want to go too long because they don't want to actually lose the system. They want you guys to stay alive and functional. They just want you really afraid. And then the solution will be central bank digital currency sent directly to your phone and universal basic income. But you'll still, you know, and to bring that about, they may have to do an event because every major move needs a story behind it. Whether it was 9/11 or COVID-19 or whatever it is.
Well, we all know what's going to be left for the future. We all know that UBI is going to be one of those things. But putting all that aside for a second, is it just me, or does it feel as though like something major is going to happen? Like not an event or that kind of thing, but something as a species, like as humanity, like we're going to enter something that is just going to completely change our perception of the world and how we live. Like what we're doing now is going to be like a past life kind of thing. I'm not very good at articulating, as you can see, but I hope you kind of know what I'm getting at.
This is the worst video of 2023, and whatever you do, don't go looking for it. The video that I'm about to explain has little to no backstory, though it's assumed the act committed in this video was fueled by mental illness. That's if the video is real, but it does indeed look legit. The video is short, coming in at 32 seconds in length. There's no clues at all regarding to what country the video comes from, but I'd assume it's from a Western country, maybe America. As you play the video, you see a man dressed in female clothing, and he appears to be wearing a pink skirt and blouse. He has the skirt pulled down, exposing his genitals. In his left hand, he is carrying a power tool that has been turned on, and it's a rotary circular saw. In his right hand, he holds his manhood as he holds the saw in the other. The blade screeches as the man in the video slowly moves the blade closer to his genitals, and it's clear what he's about to do. He takes a while and braces himself before he goes through with this act. The blade is extremely close to his manhood before he eventually takes the spinning blade and cuts it into his own manhood. Blood sprays everywhere, and it completely covers the man's left thigh and the table he is standing next to. In a matter of seconds, he completely slices off his manhood. He then throws it on the table and takes a few seconds to collect himself. He then turns off the rotating saw, and there is a lot of blood. You hear the man breathing very heavily due to shock. And after a few seconds, the man reaches down and picks up his own severed manhood and briefly shows it to the camera. It's truly a disturbing sight you don't want to see. The man then picks up a jar and places his own severed manhood inside of it before sealing it off, and the video then concludes. This video really made me sick to my stomach, and I'm really hoping it's fake, like the BME Pain Olympic videos back in the day, but this video just looked too real. It's very clear this man was extremely unwell mentally, and what would drive somebody to do this to themselves blows my mind, and it's extremely difficult to wrap my head around it and understand it. I'm telling you right now, do not go looking for this video. It's honestly not worth it.
You know, I really feel for this guy. Like, mental health is no joke. I mean, I had mental health really bad back when I was like 17, and it was like really bad for a few years. But, you know, like mental health, it affects everyone to some degree. Even if you don't have mental health, you know someone who does have mental health, and you know how it affects you, as well as it affecting them. But it's kind of sad to hear these stories about, you know, people who have mental health and they go to the extreme like this. It really is sad.
Such a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you for everything you're doing. My question is your take on the 15-minute cities and what the real aim of the green agenda is really about.
Okay, so first of all, I call it 15-minute ghettos because that's what they are. As I had just said, it's really not about, you know, making our lives easier. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's about getting you under control. It's about possibly locking you up. In Great Britain, they already introduced legislation in a province. They are speaking of climate lockdowns. And the people are being told, we are doing this to make your lives easier, and we have to save the planet. Obviously, we have to save the planet, right? It has nothing to do with that. It is pretty much, taking individual mobility away from people, you know, get them on, you know, bikes or whatever. So, and that is actually what they saw during this COVID madness when they were having these lockdowns. Well, they couldn't really lock people down, right? Yeah. Because they would have had to ensure that people could go grocery shopping. And you don't have grocery stores, you know, within a 15-minute radius kind of thing. So, yeah, they realized that. That's what this whole thing with this 15-minute ghettos is all about. They need to first... You need to make sure that you might have everything you could possibly need, and then there is nothing to stop them from locking you down. What are people going to say? We're going to starve to death? I mean, once again, look to China. This is going to be our future. And once again, not 30, 40, 50 years. Now, we're talking now.
And the aim of the green agenda? What do you think that's all about?
Well, the green agenda is just part of, that overall agenda, which is to erect a totalitarian regime in which people are under complete control. That actually what it does, the Green Deal, the so-called Green Deal, it will impoverish people. We have seen that, people are barely capable of keeping up with their bills anymore. And energy prices, they're skyrocketing. In Germany, the idiot German government, they shut off the last of our nuclear power plants, and they're dreaming about, all these windmills generating enough electricity for Germany, who is, industrial nation. Seriously? Well, what happens if the sun is not shining and the wind's not blowing? Where is the energy coming from? Guess what? It's coming from France, from Poland, from whoever. Well, nuclear power plants, which, by the way, are not operating to the highest standard of safety. That was actually the case in Germany, but we shut them down because on the other end of the planet, years ago, there was, a natural catastrophe happening, which could never happen in Germany. But this natural catastrophe at the other end of the world destroyed only one nuclear power plant there in Japan, but it destroyed all nuclear power plants in Germany. And it's just idiotic.
Yeah, so my last question is just, speaking up like you do and going against the mainstream agenda, are you ever scared that they're going to try to remove you from the position that you have and that's so very needed for all of us around the world?
Well, once you start being afraid, or once you start showing that you are in fear, you have lost. So, they can do whatever they want to me. They can threaten me, and remove me. Well, then go ahead and do it. But I will not back down, and I will not give into that fear that you're trying to instill in me, because it's not going to work.
For entertainment purposes only. But honestly, guys, one of the most frustrating things for me is the fact that I can't express my own opinion when it comes to certain matters like this. And the likes of BitChute and Rumble, they're kind of turning out to be the same way. So it just feels like there's nowhere to really express your own thoughts and opinions in regards to those matters. But if anyone knows of any other social platforms where I can, just give me a shout in the comment section, guys. Thank you.
Well, why do you think Epstein had that giant painting of Bill Clinton in a dress in his foyer?
Dude.
Do you know that picture?
Yeah.
That painting?
Epstein's taste in art was not great. Like, if you look at the
No,
shit...
that was great. That painting is like, I got you, bitch. That's what that is.
Oh, right.
You got a president who was on the flight logs 26 times with Epstein, and you got that guy in a fucking dress in your house.
Okay, I'm dumb. I'm sorry, dude. I'm officially dumb because I've known about that picture. And I've just been like, why would anybody want a fucking picture
That is,
of Bill?
I got you, bitch.
That's just a like, hey, yeah.
That's I got you, bitch.
That is terrifying.
That's terrifying. Imagine if I knew some horrible dark secrets about you and you came over my house and I have a giant painting of you right when you walk into the front door.
Yeah.
Of you in a dress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, buddy.
Hi, welcome. You're right.
How fucking terrifying that would be?
That's terrifying.
You know he knows about it. I mean, you walk right in and bam, there's that painting.
And now you kind of control a president.
Holy shit.
There's no better way than saying I got you by the balls than holding a portrait of an ex-president wearing a blue dress and red shoes. I mean, can you imagine the power that you would have in your hands if you had that in your possession?
Hotel room and immediately see this. You see that line under the door? What is this? What is this? Maybe it's kind of service. What? Is this a smuggling tunnel? What is this? What the fish snatcher? Let's see what's going on here. This is crazy. This is a hotel. Let's stick it all the way in. What's that? What the fish net?
So this is the craziest shit I've seen so far. I was taking the trash out with my son and he kept pointing at the mirror and waving and I didn't know why. So I pulled the camera out and I can't believe I caught this.
transferred to this room with this mirror. If there's no space, leave this place, right? Well, guess what else is fucking weird about this? If you're wondering what I mean by if no space, leave this place, this is a regular mirror. You can see there's space between my fingers. There is no space between my fingers. Yeah, I don't have a lot of options, so literally that's what I'm just gonna cover it. I'm just gonna cover it and sleep with my shotgun next to it.
The next time you're in the hotel, just make sure to check all your mirrors, just to ensure that the only person looking back at you is actually you.
Yeah, the Stress was actually not an asteroid. It's a spaceship. Holy shit, we're done. It is. It was actually a spaceship of the reptilian kind, but it's since then.
So we're gonna get invaded.
No, that's what they were talking about.
It's gonna be a ring.
But
This
check
is
it out.
where this all ties into the military.
Iron Man.
Yeah, we have the Avengers.
Yeah.
Thank God.
No,
Hey, where are these motherfuckers at? 'Cause these motherfuckers are like within a couple years out. These motherfuckers are nowhere to be seen. What the fuck's going on?
Well, that's what we're doing. We're forming an alliance with them. We've actually sent 12 of our own.
Someone's got to tell him that the reptilians have already invaded and they're literally governing us as we speak. So apparently there's something similar to the red strand in the you-know-what, but once you get a microscope, there's going to be some tests that I want to do myself, and so I'll share that with you guys.
Did this trail...
This piece of meat is cut already. You know how? With my hands. You see this? You see this? You see this? Uh-huh. My hand is literally cutting the chicken in half.
The age of lab-grown meat has arrived in this country. The Agriculture Department just approved 2 California companies to sell chicken grown in steel tanks using cells that come from an animal egg or a special bank of stored cells.
Lab meat GMO mutant chicken.
Never in my 23 years of living have I seen chicken this fucking stringy. Like, it's stringy. Like, what the fuck? Like, look at that. That is so weird. This is uncooked chicken, what the inside is.
That's absolutely humming, hey, no harm to anyone. That looks more like seafood than it does chicken.
Here we go with Hollywood mocking Jesus again. Lil Nas X has a song featuring Jesus Christ. He says it's coming out tonight. And look at the promotional material for his new music. What is this? And this This is the same guy that was stripping for the devil about 1.5 years ago. I mean, look at this. I mean, but he won't be the first and he won't be the last because they've been doing it.
You know what? Let Lil Nas mock all he wants, because when it comes to the day and he has to stand in front of that judge, he'll not be mocking then, hey.
Check this out.
You look at that clip and you see the amount of chaos surrounding him, but you also see how much he's risking his life for his job. And so you don't really give enough praise when it comes to firefighters, but they really do deserve a lot more praise. What do you do for a living? I chuck water at a guy for 8 hours a day.
Fucking non-stop.
There's no better way to say happy holidays than playing bowling with your cars.
I was taught that the King James Version was the first English version of the Bible. First version translated into English. Why? As a matter of fact, way before the King James, the Geneva Bible was out. King James banned the Geneva Bible. And you say, wait a minute, if the Geneva Bible is such a good book, why was it banned? Well, let me tell you why it was banned. First of all, in any of this stuff that I've got, I'm more than willing to let you take a look at. This is a little pamphlet of the instructions to the translators. And if you see this, you understand real quick what's going on. You start to understand some of the things that are going on with it. And part of the thing is, let me just give you one quote out of the Geneva of 1591. Ephesians 6:11-12. See if you can figure out anything that might cause a king not to want to have this out. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may abide to stand against the assaults of the devil. For we wrestle not only against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Sounds pretty familiar so far, right? And against worldly governors, who are the princes of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness which are in the high places. Now that basically says the governments are all evil. Can you understand why they would want to get rid of something like that?
I'm not too sure how true that is, because when you read that passage, you automatically factor that into it anyways, so I don't know. So that's the hate jar, guys. And as you can see there, there's like some form of, I'm not sure what it is, but it's just floating about there. See it there? It's like some form of fibers. What looks like fibers to me. But yeah, it's not too bad so far. I mean, as you go around the jar, you can see that there's a layer of skin that's forming around the jar. I don't know if that's for protection or what that is, to be honest with you. And in terms of the rice itself, now the rice so far doesn't look too bad. In some areas it does look as though it's starting to mold. So that's the hate jar, guys. So this is the love jar, guys, and as you can see here, the rice doesn't look too bad. It does look like it's starting to form mold in certain areas of the jar here, but it definitely doesn't look as bad as the hate jar. And in terms of the layer of skin that's around the jar as well, it's nowhere near as bad as the hate jar. And to be honest, I'd probably still chuck that in my mouth and munch it, because why not? So this is the jar that you guys know nothing about. Now this jar has actually intrigued me. It's interested me, to be honest. And the reason being is, as you can see here, there's a much thicker layer of skin. And in regards to the rice itself, the rice itself doesn't actually look all that bad. In fact, I would probably argue that the rice looks a lot better than the love jar, if I'm honest. But it's interesting to me to see that there's more skin in this jar compared to the hate jar, and the rice looks much fresher in this jar compared to the love jar. So far the experiment seems to be doing pretty well. So as you can see for yourself, guys, whenever you compare the jars to one another, you can see that there's a noticeable difference in terms of the results for each one of those. Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but I'll mention it now. There will be a microscope that will be used at the end of the experiment, and that will just be checking the rice and the water to see if there's any noticeable differences or if there's anything that's formed within each jar. But yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in relation to the experiment so far. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Creepy TikTok compilation. Smash that like button and subscribe button so this video could be recommended to others. And until the next video, guys, please look after yourselves, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you then.